person who I interviewed for this project is my coworker, Meeli Patel. She's originally from India and practices Hinduism. She grew up in Gujarat, India, and spent the first 20 years of her life there in what she says is a very Gujarati culture. She spent the remainder of her life here in the United States and continues to practice Hinduism today. We worked weekends at the hospital together, and there were certain things that I would notice that I thought were a little odd at first, but I understand now that that was just her practicing her religion. I think it's so important to educate yourself on different religions, and it just opens up your perspective to things you might have thought were a little odd at first or just somebody practicing their religion. So, tell me a little bit about yourself and where you grew up in India and when you came to the United States.
My name is Meeli Patel, and I grew up in India, in Gujarat, where it's like in the middle southeast region. It's I pretty much spent like my 20 years of life over there with my family, and it's like a very traditional Gujarati culture.
Hinduism is a major religion in India. Out of a population of 900 million, an estimated 700 million are Hindu. Hinduism is difficult to define because of the wide range of traditions and ideas incorporated in the term Hindu. Most Hindu traditions weave a body of sacred literature, the Veda, as revelation, though some do not. Some traditions regard certain rituals as essential for salvation. Others do not. Some Hindu philosophies postulate a theistic reality who creates, maintains, and destroys the universe. Others reject this claim. Hinduism does not fit into one set definition. One thing that is unique about Hinduism is that, quote, practice takes precedence over belief, meaning that what a Hindu does is more important than what a Hindu believes. Frida Stahl says a Hindu may be a theist, pantheist, atheist, communist, and believe whatever he likes, but what makes him a Hindu are the ritual practices he performs and the rules to which he adheres to. This contrasts many other religions we know today that focus on belief more than anything. The main idea here is that Hinduism is interpreted differently by different people, so it is not easily defined or categorized. Practicing Hinduism in the United States is very different from practicing in India, the religion's origin. One of the major differences is Hinduism is very much embedded in the culture of India. Almost everybody in your community practices Hinduism, states Meeli. Hinduism was first introduced in the United States by Swami Vivekananda at the World's Parliament of Religions in Chicago in 1893. He was the first and only person at the conference to address the audience as, quote, my brothers and sisters. He continued teaching in the United States for 2 years, and Hinduism started slowly growing in the United States. It wasn't until 1965 that the number of Hindus drastically increased because of the Immigration and National Services Act passed. This caused a wave the gurus termed the second wave, with the first wave beginning with Vivekananda. These gurus have innovated the religion to reflect American culture. Hindu gurus adjusted their teachings to accommodate their American students. A new stage in the development of Hinduism in America appears to be taking shape. It can now rightly be called its own tradition, American Hinduism, rather than an imported religion. American culture and Indian culture are very different, and practicing Hinduism in these two countries reflect that. Meeli states that she luckily has not had any bad experiences practicing in the United States, but she misses a lot of things about practicing at home. So coming to the United States after being in India, was it like a very different?
It was like, yeah, like when I first got here, I just didn't use, I'm not really used to with anything. Like even if I go out, I feel different. It's just totally different country and a totally different environment. Wherever you go, you have to speak English, which
Yeah.
I was never. Like in India, we don't speak like in a normal conversation. We just speak our own language. Even here, like after I got here in home, like we speak our own language.
Yeah.
But I got used to with it. I started working somewhere like in a few restaurants where I can get more customer service and like more
practice.
get used to it. Like in a talking practice. Day by day, I learn.
Have you had any bad experiences practicing your religion in the United States, or like was it hard to adjust, like practicing, because not very many people around you do practice Hinduism?
It was, I would not say hard like any bad experience, but I do miss festival wise, like I do miss India.
European interest in Hinduism began when they were told about the Vedas. The Vedas are ancient texts that are so sacred that they were rarely written down, but handed down orally from Brahmin to Brahmin. There are 4 texts that compose the Vedas. The first and oldest is the Rig Veda. This section was composed between 1500 and 900 BCE. The other sections are Yajur Veda, Sama Veda, and Atharva Veda. The Rig Veda, the most important historically, is a collection of 1,028 hymns addressed to various gods. The Vedas are considered the most ancient texts in the world and serve as the foundation for Hinduism. The laws of the Vedas regulate the social, legal, domestic, and religious customs of the Hindus to the present day. A common thing among women in religion is the oppression that they face within their religion, and Hinduism is no exception to this. Women's roles are established in the Vedas, or at least that's how men interpret and decipher the Vedic texts. It is very much embedded in the culture that men are superior to women. The exact details in the Vedas' role in suppression has never been made clear. What is clear is that in many important respects, Orthodox religious laws equated women with the lowest class of men, a fact that has weighed heavily on the history of women in India. Mealy confirms in the interview that men are considered superior to women and that women are responsible for taking care of everything at home. The goal of the wife is centered around the well-being of her children and husband. Since this goal is crucial for the religious path for women, it is viewed as obligatory. Although this religion does recognize female goddesses, gender equality is still a subject of controversy. It is hard to change something that is so embedded within their religion.
Okay, men and women are at the same level. Like they don't help in a home, like oh, my husband used to telling me like, oh, you take care of the home, it's your responsibility, you have to take care of your son at home, you have to take care of my parents, like I have to take
As
care
you're
of,
working full-time too.
I have to take care of his parents, and it is like in every home right now. But it's changing.
Yeah.
Like from my son generation, it's totally different. He's not gonna live with us. He's not gonna, even if he's married, we're not gonna be together. I mean, if he needs help, I will help him growing his children or whatever, but we're not gonna be living together. But until this generation, until my generation, the husband parents live with us.
One thing I noticed early on while working with Mealy is that she did not eat meat. I understood it as vegetarian because of her culture, but now I realize she's vegetarian because of her faith. When Indian boys and girls go to school, they are taught early on to be kind to the lower animals. Do not kill them for your food, because the natural food of man is not animals. Evidence of this comes from the early Vedic text that supports vegetarianism. One of the reasonings behind not eating meat is the karmic consequences. If we involve ourselves in inflicting pain, injury, or death upon an animal, we are susceptible to that suffering in our future. From a spiritual reason, what we eat affects our conscious and emotions. By introducing the grosser chemistry of animal foods, it also introduces things like anger, jealousy, and anxiety in the body. People who do not eat meat are considered in a higher conscious than us lower conscious meat eaters. One of my favorite parts of the interview was when Mila expressed a quote about meat eating. It's like making your stomach a funeral home.
Yep.
So you don't eat meat in your religion?
No,
Gotcha.
I don't. I mean, nowadays, people do eat, but our religion said that you should not be eating of meat. It's not good to kill eating a killed animal. They're saying if you are eating a killed animal, you're making your stomach as a funeral home.
Funeral home?
It's basically that, because it's killed animal going in your stomach.
Yeah, because like when we went over that section, it was like everything has like a soul and everything's living, so like you don't.
And we also pray cows in our country. Cows is like a goddess for us. We pray cows. So they're saying there are almost 30 million goddess is under the cow's soul.
Oh, wow.
You should not be killing the cows.
A normal day for Mealy consists of different rituals within Hinduism. On my days off, I normally start my day with an hour of devotions and prayers, says Mealy. She does have different deities in her home, but Hindu recognizes 30,000 gods and goddesses, so having all of them in your home is almost impossible. On some days, her daily ritual might consist of going to the temple and talking with the priest. Another ritual that she does is performed prior to eating. She makes a plate of food as an offering for the god and places it in front of the altar in her home. I know they are not going to eat the food, says Mealy, but it is a spiritual or sacred act within the Hindu faith. One of the things I noticed when working with Mealy is she would take a long time when getting her vegetarian lunch and bringing it to the break room. I now realize that time spent getting her lunch and warming up her food also consisted of her doing her prayers before eating. I now understand that the act of eating is a process in her faith, and it takes time to do her prayers before eating. These are everyday rituals that Mealy uses to practice her faith, and these are actions that Mealy considers sacred to her. Among the rituals that Mealy practices, Diwali festival was her favorite, and she compares it to what Christmas would be like in America. Diwali festival is a major religious festival in Hinduism that lasts 5 days. During those 5 days, time is spent with family, in celebration, where different meals are made and gifts are given, and the entire community is in celebration. In the United States, Diwali is celebrated at the temples, but otherwise is not recognized in our country. What are some of the practices that you do daily for your religion? Like you pray before you eat. That's the big one.
Like in the morning, when I wake up, I always do morning prayers. So if I'm working, I sometimes I don't have time. So if I have to go to work, I just get up and take a shower and then just do a very quick prayer. But when I am off, I spend more time on doing prayers, like maybe an hour.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So, and I do also do offerings to the god every day, which I used to not do it before, but since I'm doing for a long time now, I'm gonna continue with it. Which like I cook the food, like a good whatever food I'm gonna eat, I make that food, and I offer to the god first, and then I eat that food, which is every day for right now.
So how do you offer it to the god? Do you?
Yeah, I just put it in front of the like idol, like in front of the picture.
Gotcha.
I mean, they're not. I mean, I know, but it's just like offering.
It's a like a practice.
Yeah.
Yes. Mealy participates in these rituals because this is what she considers sacred. Mircea Eliade defines in his book The Sacred and the Profane what people deem special or sacred and what people deem ordinary and profane. For Mealy, eating is somewhat of a sacred experience between making a plate of food for the gods and praying before each meal, whereas most people find the act of eating not sacred at all. Even cows are considered sacred in Hinduism. Eating a cow is against their religion because it is viewed as sacred. Every religion has what they consider sacred and profane, and Hinduism is no different. Emil Durkheim understood that religion acts like a glue holding societies together, and we see this with Hinduism in India. Think about what India would be like today if there was never the introduction of Hinduism. I believe that it is one of the biggest culture shocks for Hindus when they moved to the United States, because Hinduism is not recognized in our culture like it is in India. The Diwali festival is an example of this in Hinduism. It is a huge religious and social festival that is celebrated in India, in which almost everybody participates in and brings a sense of community and unity among the people. There is definitely a connection between sociology and Hinduism, as Emil Durkheim describes. Although you do not have to go to the temple to practice Hinduism, the priest serves as the main resource for the Hindu community. They are well versed in the sacred texts and provide counseling when needed. They perform the puja, which is a daily worship service for worshippers. They are responsible for performing ceremonies such as wedding and different rites of passage ceremonies. One of their main responsibilities is taking care of the temple, which includes keeping the temple orderly and maintaining daily operations. Although some Hindus practice independently, the priest serves as a major resource to anybody who wishes to practice within their community.
Separately.
Yeah. So do you guys have like pastors or like temple leaders in your community?
We do. Like there is a, like you call pastor, they take care of the temple, they stay in the temple, they also help like during the like a different ceremony, like if you are getting married, like you guys have somebody like
like a officiant or something.
Yeah,
like...
somebody who helps getting married, like they read that whatever thing.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so we do have it's called priest in our culture. So he helps.
Many people understand reincarnation in Hinduism. However, they do not understand that reincarnation is not salvation. Although living a spiritual life and practicing Hinduism will definitely help your karma, the ultimate goal of Hinduism is not to have a better reincarnated life, but to find salvation. Salvation is the freedom of your soul from the cycle of birth and rebirth and becoming one with the Supreme Soul, or the Brahman, which is termed moksha. Hinduism believes that there are many ways to salvation. The common metaphor is comparing salvation to the mountaintop. There are many paths that one can take up to the mountain, and they all lead to the top, or lead to thee. Homosexuality in the LGBTQ plus community in Hinduism is a relatively new topic. Mealy discussed in an interview that people were not educated on this topic for a very long time. Hinduism is actually a more progressive religion than people may think. No aspect of the Hindu text, the Vedas, speaks on homophobia. Several of the deities in Hindu faith are androgynous and have the ability to change their gender. There is also a text in the Veda that actually refers to someone of the third sex, which can be interpreted in favor of the LGBTQ+ community. Mealy states that our parents are far more understanding and accepting of individual sexuality and are much more educated and understanding on this topic today. So, does your religion say anything about like homosexuality, or like, are you allowed to be gay if you're Hindu?
I mean, until now, people not even was educated in my country about that.
It just like didn't really exist.
I mean, it was probably, but people were suffering inside. Probably not want to talk about it. But nowadays, people are talking. People are giving acknowledgement to that thing, and there are like more like educational stuff and more like awareness.
Writing this essay has really opened my mind to how similar we are when we practice our religion. A key thing that I wanted to point out is that never once did I feel like Mealy was talking about her religion in a way that it was superior to mine. Even when we worked together, we had a mutual understanding about practicing our religion. We never tried to compare the two. We just understood that each of us were practicing our religion in our own ways. Having this knowledge about Hinduism is something that I will always keep in mind, not only throughout my life, but throughout my career in healthcare. Even now, I understand that I am only touching the surface of Hinduism, but a basic understanding of this religion is so helpful, and everyone should be encouraged to learn not only Hinduism, but other religions.